Hello, everyone. I'm Esperanza Walsh, and this is Art from the Heart at St. Augustine's Church. And we're doing the sessions remotely because of the lockdown due to COVID-19. And today, we are focused on the subject of dancers, to be specific, ballet dancers. I am not technically trained as a ballet dancer. I just appreciate their beauty. So this is based on what I observed. So movements of the ballet dancers based on what I observed. And I really think they're amazing. And in this session, we are going to apply more of feathering and the techniques that we have learned from our previous sessions. So I would like to give this justice. So let's start. The first ballerina that I will be drawing would be this one. And to create that image, I've used two triangles and some lines and some other random shapes. So we are not going to draw it in a detailed way with eyes and all of those, but more of a general shape. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to apply feathering and maybe backwash as well for this one. And we will begin by drawing the triangles. So for this one, I would set the ballerina in a dance studio, something like this, where there's a mirror. So we are going to paint her here on this side of the paper. So let's begin with the triangle. And then another triangle for the upper body. Perfect. And then for her legs, just straight lines. And we're going to shape that later on. Make it look a bit more realistic. Not too realistic, but a bit closer to what is real. So next we have the legs and then the arms. Oh, I'm sorry. There's just one leg. My apologies. Okay, that would be for the next ballerina, where it has two legs stepping on the ground. So this one on the ground and one at the back. And this would be shorter than the one in front. And that is to give it that illusion of distance. Next one would be the arms. Okay, slightly parallel to the leg, but honestly, it's not really that parallel. At some point, if we draw them straight, they would intersect, but relatively. There we go. Next would be her other arm. Her other arm would be here. And of course, we need to give her a neck, a head, and that bun, which is a very classic of a ballerina. Now, from this drawing, we will connect the triangle and smoothen the side by drawing a curved line here and another curved line here. And then we will erase whatever line it is inside this new object. So we have that. Next, we do the legs. So I'm going to make this a little bit wider here, a little bit more curved. So here like that. And this bit is going to correspond to the knee. So it's also going to be wider here and narrowing over there. This one will be her ankle. And then the feet. Okay. And we hope to give that justice. Okay. Next, it will be the leg at the back. And then the arm. And then the other arm. Okay. So that has to curve there. And it shouldn't be too thin. And to give it justice, the image should still depict that grace that the ballerinas have. Okay, so now we almost have it. So here, little curve line here, little curve line here to make it look more natural. Here as well. Here. And then the bun. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I think that will do. Now I will erase this line and the rest of the lines in this area. And that is because this is where we are going to paint her tattoo. Now, the first thing we're going to do is to paint the color of her body. So to do that, I'm going to paint the whole body with water, including the face, might include the hair. Okay. There we go, just water. Okay, I think I've done that too much. Oops, again, too much. And then I am going to paint this with a little bit of burnt umber. Really dilute. There we go. So just let it spread. And then next bit is continue painting the rest of the body with burnt umber. And I am very happy with the lightness of my burnt umber here. So I've diluted it properly to what I want to achieve. Now, this is not exactly the color I would like, so I need to do the same thing with red. So I'm gonna paint diluted mixture of red and water on top of the burnt umber. And if you can see, I think she's starting to look more red than she should, but that's not the problem. We should just keep on painting her to ensure that the whole body is covered with that red paint. And then I'm going to get a clean kitchen towel. Actually, I've used this for my earlier piece. I'm gonna put it over what I painted and let it absorb the excess paint. Now I have the perfect color. Now just the texture, because I can see the texture of the kitchen towel here. So let me just soften all of that, make sure it's all smooth. Wow, that's perfect. So now we have the ballerina, which is, where's that? Let me get that lady, this lady over here. And I just need to put her clothes on. And for that, I am going to get some violet paint. I am going to paint this body with violet, shape it into a typical shape of a ballerina's dress. Not doing so well here because the paint is still wet. So if you're doing this at home, before you paint the body, let it dry. So to do that, to save what I've already done, I am going to lift the paint. And I'm lifting it by using a brush that is dry. Okay, that's perfect. So now, we can't paint her body yet. We do have some purple paint there, but that's all right. That's going to be part of the dress later on, but we can't do the details. So we'll start with the body. I have to go back with my burnt umber and then paint the sides of this body parts with burnt umber, and then rinse my brush and then paint it with water and let the paint feather. Now if there's any excess paint, I must lift that. And then I am going to do that for the other limbs. So here, I'm doing it for the other leg, the feet. And then later on, we have to do the same thing for the arms. And again, if there is any excess paint, we can lift it with our brush. If the excess paint is too much, we can use a kitchen towel. For example, this one. So we can use a kitchen towel. Okay, where were we? Here we go. Okay, let me lift this. And then here, this part as well. So that would be the neck and below her chin. And then her face. So again, we just have to let the paint feather and distribute itself by itself. Okay, so now we have those dimensions, and let me feel it's still wet. So we start with the tutu. And to do this, I would need to paint this area with water. Okay, for this particular dress, okay, the tutu is lower than her waist, so it's styled that way. Okay, we start with the purple paint. So here, and then we create the shape of the tutu using the paint. Beautiful. Now, we paint this area with a little bit of water. And we're going to use some red paint. And what we're doing is now creating backwash, allowing the paint just to mix. There it goes. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, let's give it more shape. So to do that, I'm going to paint some violet lines. There we go. Beautiful. Maybe a little bit here at the back as well. Okay. And then let's do some circular patterns here. And this shapes would actually give the tutu that fluffy-like effect. Okay, now let's go back to the body. So I'm going to get some purple paint and then shape it. Okay, that's perfect. And then I have to put some straps. Okay, now some shading. And now I just have to paint it with water again, this area, to soften the effect of the paint. Make it look more natural. Again, if there's any excess paint, we can always lift it, as in this case. I will lift some paint here. And this is to make her body look more three-dimensional. Okay, I would be adding some more purple paint on this part. And again, I'm maintaining the brush strokes going towards this area so that the shape is maintained. So I don't go just painting it randomly. So it's following that stroke, the shape of her body. And then I will add some more paint here. As you can see now, because it's almost dry, you can see the brush strokes. Oh, look at that, that's perfect. Now, I'm going to rinse my brush, make sure it's clean, and then I'm gonna get some black paint. And this would be used for her hair, for the shadows on the straps, to add more dimension to the shape. Okay, let's start with the shadows of the straps. Yes, if it spreads, that's fine, do not worry. Again, if we have excess paint, we just need to lift the paint. So here, and then here, the hair. Okay, wonderful. And yes, I would need to lift some of the paint because there's too much black paint here. And we don't want it spreading too far. So here, I'm going to lift up. Also on that side. Yeah, here I'm just going to spread it a little bit for balance. There we go. And then I am not really that satisfied with the shadow that's already there. So I'm just going to add a little more brown paint here, just to add some character. And here, yes, and here with her hand. Okay, again, we're not doing a realistic painting, but we would definitely want to see the shape, the form that the ballerina engages in, that very graceful shape. Okay, and I think in this art piece we have captured it. Now, as you can see here, there's a difference between the two. And for one of those big difference would be the lines here under her neck. And that is because I put too much pressure when doing my sketch. And that is so that you can see what I'm doing. But if you were doing this at home, please do not put too much pressure on your pencil so that you don't get these marks that show later on once your art piece is finished. Okay, so now we will do the rest of the setup. So for this piece, I want her to be in a dance studio. So to be in a dance studio, there has to be some sort of mirror, walls. Okay, so in this case, I will first, one moment. Okay, I will first draw a horizontal line from here, going to the end of the page, and then I will draw a vertical line, going to the end of the page towards the top. And then I will draw a diagonal line, which runs across from this edge of the paper to the other edge of the paper. So let me do that. So I have this bit now, and I'm going to continue that. And then from here, I going there, just straight. And I stop right there. I can go and make a guideline until the end, that's okay. But that is not really going to matter because that's not going to be the focus. What I just want to do here is to create that reflection on the mirror. So to do the reflection, it's actually easier than painting the actual ballerina. So what we do is just paint the ballerina, a version of her in water. One moment, I think I've painted too much water on it. So a version of her in water, that's her legs, one of the legs, and then the other one, and then the tutu, her body, her arm, and the other arm, her head. And now we just play with the colors. So I am going to get some of that burnt umber, really just light. So just straight like that. And then here, it's okay, just let it spread. And then her body, arm, head, her other arm, and now the rest of the color, but make everything lighter than the actual piece. So now we have that purple, then some red, and again some purple for the body, Okay, I think that's too dark, so we need to paint some water on it. And now I would like to put a rail here. So I am just going to take burnt umber, mix it with a little bit of black paint. I hope I didn't make it too dark. I think I made it too dark. Doesn't matter. It's the rail here. And then on the other side, if you have that rail here, a similar rail should be available on the other side, but of lighter color. So what we're going to do is just to paint water on this one. And then we're going to try and lift as much as we can. And then that's the rail. Now for the color of the floor, I'll make it simple. I'll just make it perhaps blue. Yeah. So let's make it blue. Okay. So we have the blue floor with our ballerina. And the same one, okay, using the same brush, we just dip that in water and we paint the reflection of the blue floor. There we go. But lighter. And now the last thing is we add the shadow. So we add the ballerina shadow here. So that's the shadow of the foot. Now we add the shadow of the tutu. And then the shadow of her leg. At the back. Now if we have that, we have to do an equivalent of that shadow here. So oops, I just accidentally put it there. Now what I do is just dip my brush in water. That's to dilute the black paint that's already there. And just, okay, paint some of that over here on the reflection. There we go. There's our ballerina in the studio, rehearsing for her dance. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this session. And the next one that we will be doing would be applying the same technique, but a ballerina, the subject would also be a ballerina, but of different form. Okay. Again, I hope you enjoy it and see you again.